Hello everyone, this is Kun here for Root Gaming's YouTube page. These are going to be going onto the YouTube later, so if you're paying attention, this will cut about halfway through so I can split the VODs and get them onto YouTube. But we are going to have Qxc versus Kiwikaki. This appears to be a practice game just by the way that they're talking. I don't remember because I downloaded these a while ago from the website, and a few of them were emailed to me by some of the players, recommended as good games for you to watch. So we do see Kiwikaki as the yellow Protoss at 9 o'clock on Metalopolis up against the purple Terran of Qxc at 12 o'clock. So they're going to be on the closest ground positions with that does not have the watchtower in between them, so this is going to open up a decent amount of aggression early on if the players choose to do so. Kiwikaki is the type of player where he will try and put pressure on you early if he thinks he can do it, just to allow him to be able to do whatever he wants in the mid game. So I would not be surprised to see some aggression from Kiwikaki pretty early, even though in Terran vs. Protoss, usually that role falls on the Terran. Just looking as if it's going to be some normal builds so far. I haven't seen Kiwikaki's TVP much recently, so I can't tell you much of what I expect to see in this game. Plus, I don't know how old this replay is. It's post-release, that's all I know. And, you know, Qxc's starting off with that pretty standard Terran build. Probably going to see a Marine, followed by a Tech Lab. Get a couple of Marauders with Concussive Shell out. You know, just that very, very standard Terran opening versus Protoss that you see pretty much every game. Kiwikaki doing the standard Protoss build order of, you know, Gateway, Assimilator, Pylon, get probes out, get on the gas immediately. Very nice reaction time with those probes, mining the gas as soon as possible, and then dropping that cybernetics core. So, interesting opening for, well, not really interesting, but just a good job of executing it by Kiwikaki. But he is saving up a lot of energy on his Nexus instead of spending it on his probes, which is making me think that he is going to be at least decently aggressive here. Could be using it to chrono boost out the warp gate tech as soon as possible as well. Kiwikaki is quite a bit ahead in workers, though. I'm not sure how that happened because he did save a lot of chrono boosts and has not been chrono boosting his Nexus the entire time. So Qxc might have actually cut a worker at one point, but I'm not sure why he would, as this is a pretty standard Terran opening so far. He does try and steal the gas of Kiwikaki, but he has a Zealot on top of that immediately, so it's not going to delay him too much. Kiwi goes straight into a robotics facility off of one gateway and has the warp gate tech researching, energy still stockpiling on his Nexus, and I'm not sure what he's going to be using that for. Kiwi is the type of player when he is saving up energy and you move in there and you see that on his Nexus, you know it's for something. But for what? I'm not entirely sure. Qxc's pulling a bunch of workers here because he saw the one gate robo without many units, and he apparently just wants to put a lot of pressure on Kiwikaki. This is very unusual, but you know, Kiwi's a very good player, and possibly he just doesn't want to go late game with him. I'm not entirely sure what his reasoning is here, but Kiwikaki pulls several probes along with his Zealots. He surrounds the SCVs of Qxc and takes them all out. There's a nice surround almost on the Reaper. I thought he was going to get it, but the Marauders are doing a good job of clearing these out, especially with the Reaper. They are going to jump into the bunker, but the Immortal's probably going to blast it down. It's going to be pretty close. He might lose the Immortal if he's not careful. It looks like he is going to lose it. Oh, he just barely keeps it alive with 19 health. So, close call there for the Immortal. Both players lost a lot of workers. Kiwikaki is still just a little bit ahead, but Qxc now has his expansion most of the way done. So that's decent attack there by him, able to put a ton of pressure on him and get his command center building, while Kiwikaki was way too busy trying to hold that off. But Kiwi is making a warp prism. It looks like he's going to do an Immortal / 2 Zealot drop. Immortal drops don't really seem super effective versus Terran. So he's going to load this up. It is Kiwikaki. His control is very excellent. So he might be able to do a bit more damage than I'm used to seeing just because of, he'll probably do some nice Warp Prism micro with the loading and unloading. But we're going to have to wait and see how that works out as Kiwi drops 2 more gateways, pretty standard, 3-gate robo build. Qxc really only has 1 Marine out on the field, so Sword Prism is going to be able to drop a bunch of these units here, and expecting to see him unloading and loading this Immortal, and dropping the Zealots, there it goes, unloading it for the duration of 1 shot, and then loading it back up again, so that Qxc cannot focus fire it. Excellent micro there by Kiwikaki. Going to blast down that tech lab, and now he's going to try and kill as many workers as he can with some nice micro. Going to drop directly on top of the Marine and try and take it out. And still, again, unloading and loading this Immortal very, very quickly. Great job by Kiwikaki of this excellent Warp Prism micro, showing how good of a player he is with his macro and micro, but he has been spending a little bit too much time focusing on microing this as he'd stockpiled a lot of resources. But he is going to warp in a bunch of forces with the Warp Prism, and that's this nice job here. I thought he was probably going to have to pull back, but he just switched to phasing mode, which I didn't know you could do with a unit in it. And warp in a few more reinforcements, start another Immortal, and keep up the pressure. It does look like with a decent number of Marines out, it's going to be tough for him to keep this up, but he's going to try and do as much damage to this barracks as possible. We're going to warp in more units. Might lose the Immortal there. Oh no! He did not switch it back to the transport mode fast enough. Qxc doing an excellent job with that run and shoot micro with his Marines. Kiwi probably should load up and get the hell out of here at this point, as this is turning kind of against his favor. Going to continue to warp in some units though and keep up the pressure, and with these 3 Stalkers out, he might actually not have to run away now. Excuse me. Warping in Zealots to help back up these Stalkers and just being super annoying. There goes Qxc doing the intelligent thing and trying to kill that Warp Prism, so that he cannot continue reinforcing this. With the Warp Prism forced out and most of the Zealots dead, it looks like he will be able to clear this out. No sign of an expansion for Kiwikaki, but Qxc hasn't been able to even consider sending his orbital command over to his natural, so he's just been using his command center to build some extra workers in the meantime. So nice job there. Kiwi is going to start his Nexus and continue to be aggressive, warping in units with this Warp Prism right outside of the base of Qxc. Looks like he's going to try and kill this command center, force field it off and chase it away. Good job of delaying this expansion and saying, I'm not going to let you expand yet, as Qxc just finished adding on a couple more production buildings in anticipation of getting that income spike. And now he's not really going to be able to utilize that, as now there's a ton of sentries at his ramp that are going to prevent him from really moving down his ramp for about the next 10 minutes or so. So the Protoss expansion is going to have plenty of time to finish. He's going to be able to go pick pretty much whatever tech path he wants. Qxc, in order to get out of this, is going to need medevacs, but he doesn't even have a factory yet. Making a few Reapers, actually, which is an intelligent decision. He's going to send these straight over to Kiwikaki's base and try and go on a probe killing spree, since most of his forces are outside of his ramp. So nice switch in the sort of mid-game to Reapers. Going to catch Kiwikaki rather off guard. He's going to have to warp in some Stalkers, but in the meantime he's going to get a decent number of probe kills. 2 Stalkers are going to be able to chase these away, but they did kill about 5 or 6 probes. So, Kiwikaki's still being annoying, keeping up this perpetual force field at Qxc's ramp. Just going to keep doing that with a little bit of a gap in between, so he thinks he might be able to get out, but he won't really. And there's 1 Stalker in the main here of Kiwikaki's base. He's going to pull some probes a little bit, just put some pressure. 1 Reaper left. He's going to kill 1 more probe before he goes down. It did a pretty good job there of thinning out the probe count of Kiwikaki. And now he's, got to be careful, make sure that Qxc can't do that again. Leave some of these Stalkers at home And it's giving Qxc time to tech up to some medevacs so that he can do some drops if he wishes. But this is just so annoying. Qxc's unable to really do anything about this, as a Storm is now being researched out of Kiwikaki's Templar archives. So he's just looking like he's in a really excellent position here. If he can get Storm out, this is just going to be almost impossible for Qxc to recover from. He's not getting his expansion up. Kiwikaki has Stalkers parked around. Might want a couple more, because here comes a few more Reapers. So he will be able to do a decent more amount of damage. He did see those Reapers coming with the Watchtower, but the Reapers are going straight for the Templar. Ouch! That's 300 gas gone right there. Kiwikaki's not quite on the ball. Slow reaction time against these Reapers, so he does lose a lot more probes than he should have. Gonna lose, fall back behind in the worker count behind Qxc, but Qxc is on one base. Manages to fly his orbital command over to 3 o'clock and call down a bunch of mules to get at least some sort of an income spike while he's working on getting his starport up. He is making a tech lab, so it looks like he's going to get a Raven, possibly. Probably like to get a few medevacs out first, just so he could ferry down the cliff and get out of his base at this point. It's super annoying. He has enough sentries here. If you look at the energy, two of these are full energy, so it's not even really running him low on energy to keep force fielding at this point. And if we look back to Kiwikaki's base, Storm has just finished. The amulet research has not begun yet. He is now starting the gas at his natural, but he's doing one gas. Something that Kiwikaki is rather good at is evaluating how much gas does he actually need. He does not go immediately to 3 gas all the time. He's short 1 probe on this geyser because of those Reapers, and he hasn't quite noticed yet. Hopefully he will pick up on that and remedy that situation. But Kiwikaki's pulling back some forces, his sitbacks and techs, leaving enough sentries here to keep force fielding the ramp. Gonna move the War Prism back into transport mode so we can send it home. Gonna probably fly it around the map and look for expansions, I would assume. Because if he can just fly around and catch these hidden expansions by Qxc, warping a few units at each, then Qxc is going to have a hard time. Kiwikaki did back up a little bit, but now there is a siege tank there, which will allow him to finally get down his ramp. Kiwi has a couple of Templar out with about almost 3 storms, and there's the medevac dropping in 4 Marauders, being super annoying. Kiwikaki's gonna have to pull back. Looks like he probably will be able to defend this. Probably gonna see a feedback on the medevac right there. Nice job. He didn't take a whole lot of damage from that. Did lose 1 Stalker to the unexpected drop, and he's just now getting as many storms out as he can because he knows that Qxc has been let loose from his base. So, as Qxc is moving across the map, I'm actually going to cut this right here. So, it's going to take 1 minute, and we will resume in